In 1994, a young woman named Zhu Ling, a promising student at Tsinghua University in Beijing, suddenly fell gravely ill. Over the course of several months, her health deteriorated rapidly, leaving doctors puzzled and her family desperate for answers. The case that followed would unravel a shocking tale of poisoning, deception, and a desperate search for justice. This is the tragic story of Zhu Ling, the victim of one of the most disturbing cases of thallium poisoning in modern history. The thallium poisoning of Zhu Ling. A bright, cheerful college campus. Zhu Ling was born in 1972 in the coastal city of Wenzhou, China. From an early age, she demonstrated extraordinary intelligence and drive. By the time she was 22, Zhu Ling had been accepted into Tsinghua University, one of China's most prestigious institutions, often referred to as the MIT of China. Here, she was studying chemistry, a subject that seemed to be her destiny. Zhu Ling was considered by her peers and professors to be one of the brightest students at the university. She had a promising future ahead of her. But in 1994, everything changed. Zhu Ling began to experience bizarre and severe symptoms that would slowly strip her of her health. Symptoms and initial diagnosis. In the spring of 1994, Zhu Ling started feeling ill. At first, it seemed like a mild illness, fatigue, nausea, and some weakness in her legs. However, over the course of several weeks, her condition worsened dramatically. Her legs became increasingly numb, and she began to experience severe abdominal pain and vomiting. The doctors were stumped. Despite multiple visits to the hospital, her symptoms remained unexplainable. The doctors could not figure out what was happening to her. She was repeatedly hospitalized, undergoing a range of tests, but nothing seemed to offer any answers. Zhu Ling's condition deteriorated even further, and her once active lifestyle was completely halted. It was then that her hair began to fall out in clumps, a further sign the turning point, discovery of thallium poisoning. It wasn't until months later, when Zhu Ling's symptoms had reached a critical point, that doctors finally considered the possibility of poisoning. By now, her health had reached a point of near collapse. Her legs were completely paralyzed, she had lost her hair, and she was barely able to speak. Blood tests revealed the unthinkable. Zhu Ling had been poisoned with thallium, a highly toxic metal known for its lethal effects. Thallium is a colorless, odorless poison that can cause severe damage to the body. It attacks the nervous system, causing paralysis, vomiting, and hair loss. In higher doses, it can lead to organ failure and death. It was once used in rat poison, but its use as a poison was later restricted due to its potency and difficult detection. By the time doctors confirmed thallium poisoning, Zhu Ling was already in critical condition. Medical staff working, Zhu Ling in the hospital bed. Investigation and suspicion. As the diagnosis became clearer, the question arose: who would want to harm Zhu Ling? At first, the case seemed baffling. She had no known enemies, no history of conflict, and appeared to be a well-liked student. However, as investigators began digging deeper, they discovered something chilling. Zhu Ling's close friends and classmates became key witnesses in the investigation. It was revealed that she had been in close contact with a fellow student, a woman named Sun Wei, who had been a friend and classmate of Zhu Ling at Tsinghua University. The two had spent a significant amount of time together, and Sun Wei was one of the last people to have access to Zhu Ling before her symptoms began. Suspicion soon fell on Sun Wei. Could she be the one who had poisoned Zhu Ling? The authorities began to investigate her background, but Sun Wei's involvement remained elusive. Despite the growing suspicion, there was no conclusive evidence at first. The case became a complex web of mystery, and Zhu Ling's family was left in a state of despair. A deeper look into thallium poisoning. To understand the gravity of the situation, it's important to know just how lethal thallium poisoning can be. Thallium, once widely used in insecticides, rat poisons, and even in the creation of certain glass products, has a long history as a poison. The symptoms of thallium poisoning often appear gradually, which makes it hard to detect in its early stages. Victims might experience nausea, pain, hair loss, and neurological dysfunction, but these signs can often be mistaken for other, more common illnesses. In the case of Zhu Ling, her symptoms were particularly severe and rapid, making it all the more difficult to pinpoint thallium as the cause. Animation showing the effects of thallium on the body, focusing on the nervous system and organs. Thallium primarily affects the nervous system and can cause severe damage to vital organs like the heart, kidneys, and liver. In high doses, it can lead to permanent paralysis or even death. What made Zhu Ling's case even more alarming was the fact that thallium is nearly impossible to detect without specialized tests, especially when a patient is initially showing nonspecific symptoms. The arrest of Sun Wei and the trial. After months of uncertainty, the investigation finally uncovered a shocking twist. In 1995, Sun Wei was arrested on suspicion of poisoning Zhu Ling with thallium. The police found evidence linking Sun Wei to the crime, including traces of thallium in her personal items and traces of the substance in Zhu Ling's belongings. It became clear that Sun Wei had deliberately poisoned her classmate. Sun Wei's trial was a highly publicized event in China. The prosecution argued that Sun Wei had poisoned Zhu Ling out of jealousy and revenge. It was revealed that Sun Wei had been involved in a long-standing rivalry with Zhu Ling, one that had intensified over time. They had been competing for the same academic opportunities, and Sun Wei may have felt threatened by Zhu Ling's success. Despite the evidence, Sun Wei denied poisoning Zhu Ling. She claimed that the charges against her were a misunderstanding and insisted that she was innocent. However, the jury did not believe her defense. Sun Wei was convicted and sentenced to death. The case shocked the public and raised serious questions about the lengths to which people would go to sabotage others in the pursuit of success. Zhu Ling's story didn't end with the trial. Although Sun Wei was convicted, the trauma inflicted on Zhu Ling and her family was immeasurable. Zhu Ling spent several years in the hospital recovering from the effects of thallium poisoning, but she was left with permanent physical and neurological damage. Her once promising Zhu Ling became a symbol of both the dangers of thallium poisoning and the lengths people might go to destroy others out of envy or competition. Her case raised awareness about thallium's toxicity and sparked changes in how poisoning cases were handled in China. But the emotional and psychological toll on Zhu Ling was profound, and her life would never be the same again. Reflection and lessons learned. The Zhu Ling case serves as a grim reminder of the dangers of toxic substances and the power of jealousy. It also highlights the importance of early diagnosis and the critical role that medical professionals play in identifying and treating poisoning cases. Though she has moved forward with her life, Zhu Ling's story remains a tragic one, and the scars of her poisoning will never truly fade. She remains a symbol of resilience, and her case continues to be a point of reference when discussing the dark side of human nature and the consequences of envy. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories that touch on the mysteries of human nature.